One of the things that has troubled me in the last week or two, I'll just tell you, I wasn't going to get into this just as a side. As you know, most of us, Tea Party conservatives, Reagan conservatives, we supported Marco Rubio when he was running against that fool, the governor, in Florida. And Rubio made a number of commitments to us, one of which he violated in a very substantial way, relating to immigration. But what's bothering me now is the guy's not running on his record in the Senate. He's not running on his positions. Back in Iowa, and perhaps New Hampshire, he is spending a fortune, or his PAC is, trashing and lying about Ted Cruz's record. And I saw him on Fox, again, do the same thing. That Cruz is weak on immigration. That Cruz is weak on national security. That Cruz is weak on defending Israel. Now, everybody knows that's false. So they're cherry-picking votes that took place in the Senate in these omnibus spending bills and so forth, among other things, to make that case. So I decided to do something I wasn't going to do. I'm going to write a significant piece. I'm going to look at this very carefully, and we'll post it on Conservative Review tomorrow. I haven't endorsed anybody yet, but I'm going to post it on Conservative Review. And you'll notice what's troubling to me is Rubio has lurched so much that the New York Times comes to his defense, that the usual Bush people come to his defense, that Fox comes to his defense. Fox had him on as the response to Barack Obama. If I were Jeb Bush, I'd be very upset. It sounds like Fox has dropped him and has now embraced Rubio. No offense, I'm just telling you what I see. I'm not going to suspend rationale in order to blindly defend or support someone or some entity. Everybody sees it. Everybody knows exactly what I'm talking about. I also told you some time ago that if Trump weren't running, all the guns would be aimed at Cruz. Well, a lot of the guns are obviously aimed at Trump and Carson, too. But they worry about Cruz. As much as the others, too, but they worry about him. And so they're going to not attack him with his actual truthful record, but they're going to pick at the pieces and try and confuse you. And what bothers me about what the Rubio campaign is doing, that's what liberals do. Now, I would tell Rubio, if he wants to text me, and I would tell his people, I worked in the Reagan campaigns in 76 and 80, and that's not what he did. That is what George H.W. Bush did to Reagan in 1980. It is what the Ford people did to Reagan in 1976, but it's not what Reagan did to them. He fought back, but he didn't have to lie about his opponent's records. He stood tall on his record. And I think part of the problem is because the Rubio campaign has decided that he should leave the Senate pretty much and just run for president full time, that he's got a very thin record in the Senate. So what's he going to run on? Being Speaker of the House of Florida? And so the negative attacks, which is fine if they were true. And so I'm going to address this in a piece that I post at Conservative Review. Again, it's not something I was planning on doing, but the attacks are so absurd and dishonest, I want conservatives to know about it. Forget about the Weekly Standard. That's a joke. Or the Wall Street Journal editorial page. That's a joke. Or these phony conservatives writing who are really Bush guys and rhinos. They're giving columnist jobs for the major newspapers in this country. They're a joke, too. They have their candidates they want. I just want a solid conservative. But you can tell what's going on because they all say the same thing. They're leaked the same talking points, and they write the same thing, from the New York Times to Politico to the Weekly Standard to this leftist-turned-Republican Jennifer Rubin, this Bush apparatchik, Wenner, and so forth. They all write and say the same thing because it's fed to them. Did you know Cruz is weak on immigration? Oh, yes, he supported amnesty like Rubio. No, who believes that? Did you know Cruz was trying to take major tools away from our intelligence agencies because he wanted the NSA to follow the Constitution, and therefore these terrorist events that are occurring, he's partially responsible for them? Now, who believes that? Did you know that Cruz affirmatively voted against the Iron Dome because he didn't want Israel to be able to protect itself from missiles from Hamas? Now, who believes that? Yet that's the arguments they're making and being repeated and repeated. I can't just sit here and watch that. I supported Rubio when he ran as a Tea Party conservative. I supported Cruz when he ran as a Tea Party conservative. I supported Rand Paul when he ran as a Tea Party conservative. I know all these guys. I've been involved in all this, haven't I? Those of you who have followed me. But now that we come to this, we're going to have to make some decisions. We're going to have to use our minds. That's what conservatives do. We need to be thoughtful. We need to be analytical. And we need to fight. We can't just sit back and watch. You got some billionaires who are rhinos who've also lined up behind Rubio. You know, if you're a conservative running, you'd want that support too. Don't get me wrong. At some point, you're going to need that support. All I'm saying is when you take somebody's record and do this to it, you're trying to play us for fools. You and me, we conservatives, they're trying to play us for fools. And I'm going to reject it. So I will write my piece, thought it through, and so forth and so on. And I'll post it up there probably tomorrow morning at conservativereview.com.